Okay, welcome to our presentation. So what we're presenting today is our system that is named QMe, and this is mobile technology for improving public service queuing systems. The problem that we're trying to address is that lineups for public services sometimes have long wait times, during which people are forced to remain in the physical waiting room. This time can be unproductive and uncomfortable. So our solution, our technology allows people to spend this wait time more productively or comfortably by allowing them to leave the physical waiting room and be paged when their turn is near. This is accomplished by assigning an identifier to a person when they first enter the waiting room and sending a text message to their mobile phone when they near the front of the queue. So the best way to demonstrate is we'll go straight to the demo. So imagine the following scenario. I'm a person sitting in my bedroom at home. I'm in need of a public service, and I'm trying to determine whether it's worth my while to make the trek downtown to sit in a crowded waiting room. So instead of doing that, what we can do, as we see here, is visit a website that gives me a real-time display of the status of the queue as it is in the waiting room downtown. So what you see here is the same type of terminal that you would see in the waiting room. You see the identifier of the person that is to be served next, and you see the other people that are waiting in line for the queue. So while I'm visiting this website, if I see that there are 100 people in line, then I will know that I should probably wait until a less busy time to actually make the trek downtown. So already this is useful information. I've just avoided an unnecessary trip. So taking this one step further, we also give the user the ability to take a number and take a place in line virtually. So to do so, the user can enter their cell phone number so that we have a means of being notified as we move up in the queue. We indicate why we're here. For in this case, let's say that we're here for a permit application. And then we acknowledge that we are volunteering our cell phone number and that we understand how this information is going to be used due to the privacy concerns involved. Just a comment about the privacy concern. We recognize that it is a concern, but the phone number can remain anonymized. It's not tied to any personal information such as first name, last name, or address. So in that sense, it remains safe. Secondly, the phone number can remain in a database and never needs to be seen by a human being. This takes place all automatically, and at the end of the transaction, the phone number can be deleted. So these are the ways that the privacy concern can be mitigated. So let's proceed. So now we reserve our spot in line. And as we see, we've been given an identifier. So now our ticket number is 535, and we have an estimated wait time of 75 minutes. So this is the same procedure as you would take as if you were taking a number, so to speak, in the physical waiting room downtown. So now that we have this identifier and we have our cell phone number in the system, then we're free now to go off and get lunch or get a coffee and so forth. We don't have to remain either in the waiting room or in front of our computer. Our mobile text message will be sent to our mobile device as we move up in the queue so that we know when to go in physically to the waiting room. So to see this happen, so now let's switch over to the interface that the clerk, the service person, is using. So they also have a depiction of the queue. Here are the 5 people that are in line. And as they have served somebody, then they mark off that that person has been served. So in this case, we see that the person 531 has just been served, so we mark that off. And when that takes place, the other people move up in the line. So if we switch back to our customer view, we see that we're now 4th in line. At this point, our cell phone will have received a text message indicating that we're now 4th in line. And this will happen every time that we move up in line. So as we get closer and closer, then we know that it's advisable that we actually get into the place soon so that we can receive service. And the key thing here is that now we've only had to wait in the waiting room for 5 minutes rather than 2 hours. Although our entire wait time has been could have been very long, such as 2 hours, most of that time could have been spent running errands or having lunch or getting a coffee and so forth. Notice that we're not trying to reduce the waiting times themselves. We're just trying to make that waiting time more productive and comfortable. To actually reduce the waiting time, one way to do it would just be to hire more service people. But that is an expensive proposition, and there are budgetary constraints in public services. So our solution instead is a low-cost solution. This is much less expensive than hiring staff, and it just gives the added benefit of reducing the perceived waiting time for the customers and ultimately resulting in happier customers and better service. Finally, let me speak about one concern that seems to come up often in people's questions. And so there are a number of concerns with people being able to add themselves to the queue. This could be a potential for abuse. They could reserve many spots in line, provides unequal opportunity to the public service. And so the way that we can mitigate that is here. I'll just change the URL here to another customization of our system. Okay, so in this case, what we see is on the website, we only see the service lines. Okay, so in this case, there are 3 categories of service lines, and we see how many people are in each queue. But there is no ability for the user to add themselves to the queue. So in that case, you can still check the status of the queue, but in order to take a number, you still have to go to the physical waiting room to take the number. In that case, when you enter the waiting room physically, and you go and get your number, the service person can simply ask you, would you like to volunteer your cell phone number in order to receive notifications? If you don't have a cell phone or you choose not to, then you still just get your number and you wait in the waiting room the same way that you would traditionally. But if you do have a cell phone number and you would like to receive notifications, then you can volunteer that information and then receive the added benefit of being able to do so. So at that point, after getting your ticket, then you can still go and get a coffee or get lunch and then come back after you receive your text message. So in that sense, we just wanted to stress that our system is not intended to completely replace traditional queuing systems. It's not intended to usurp the current queuing system, but instead it's just as an added benefit for those people that wish to volunteer their cell phone number and receive these updates. So it does have a very nice path of integration. That concludes our demonstration. Thank you for listening.